So hey everybody, today we're talking to Kathy, a shamanic breathwork practitioner from New Zealand who lives in the most amazing place down in the bottom of the South Island, Birdsong Retreat Centre. So yeah, I met Kathy a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, Kathy, and
Yep.
I actually experienced one of her things that we do, breathwork, and it was incredible. So what I thought I'd do with HNZ is just to get Kathy on and to talk about how she got into it and what it is, because it was, amazing for healing and bringing things up. So hi, Kathy.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year.
So just an introduction, like what you do and even how you got into it, because always the journey getting into things is really interesting, eh?
Yes, indeed. Well, first of all, I am a kaitiaki of our land. My husband and I have been on our piece of land called Birdsong Retreat and Sanctuary here on the Banks Peninsula outside of Akaroa. We've been here for 16 years, and our mission has been to open up our property to bring people forward to come through and offer healing events. And we have a healing space, which we call the Temple of Venus. And we've been running events here for the last four or 5 years. I personally am a shamanic breathwork facilitator and a Reiki master and a couple of other things. I wear many different hats, but shamanic breathwork is what's a passion of mine right now. I got into it about 4 or 5 years ago when I had hit a little bit of a trough within my personal life after having explored many different modalities over many years. And I came into an issue with anger issues and going through menopause and kind of it coming to a head. So a friend of mine pointed me to breathwork, conscious connected breathwork modality, and an instructor that was here locally, who I started seeing and had some amazing experiences with. And looking around New Zealand, looking for some training programs, I couldn't find anything really happening here. And in a sabbatical that I took to Bali in 2018, I stumbled on something called shamanic breathwork. And I took a couple of sessions and just had some amazing openings and decided to train in it and to be able to offer it myself. So I've been a facilitator for the last 2.5 years, and I offer breathwork here locally and usually at our events here and around Christchurch. Shamanic breathwork is a modality of breathwork that uses conscious connected breathing, along with chakra tuned music, some body work, and an art integration process. So it's a basket of different things that we do in a session and a workshop that can last from just 2 hours to 4 hours, just depending on how we're going to structure it and what we're going to offer. And it's, there are many different lineages right now that are out in the world. There's probably like 12 or 13 that are using the conscious connected breathwork practice. They stem originally from holotropic breathwork with Stanislav Grof or rebirthing with Leonard Orr. Those were the original two that I think got birthed in the 1970s. And since then, there's been like all these different branches coming off of it. And this branch of shamanic breathwork was founded by Linda Starwolf out of the United States. She has been doing this work for about 30-something years. She worked with Stanislav Grof and Leonard Orr for a while, and then the next branches of the tree, which was Jacqueline Small with integrative breathwork, and so on. And so Starwolf, in the 90s, she was a practicing counselor working with alcohol recovery. And she also, so her shamanic lineage comes from the Seneca Wolf clan in upstate New York, where she was adopted by an elder in the Seneca Wolf clan tribe, grandmother Twyla. And she spent a decade or more with her learning the shamanic ways of this particular tribe. So Starwolf kind of birthed shamanic breathwork, just weaving in not only just the conscious connected breathwork practice, which can take you into non-ordinary states of reality, just using a cyclical breathwork practice, but weaving through shamanic elements and shamanic practices, working with the medicine drum, doing shamanic journeying work, using oracle cards, and creating and birthing her modality. And I found it resonant for me. I like to do ceremony and ritual, and we look and we approach the breathwork practice as a ceremony, and how we step into it, what we bring into it, and how we work, and the language that we use really resonates. And magical things happen when we do the breathwork practice.
Yeah, that's what I find putting in the even when I was experiencing the breathwork and the drumming, amazing how you bring the different elements in to bring out feelings. Who's experienced it before on here?
A conscious connected breathing practice and any of the modalities.
You have, Taryn? Yeah. That was my very first experience of using breath to go into states, apart from listening to things. But I found it really interesting how you can move into those different spaces quite quickly. Yeah, and they often say too, and I found it true, like that, like one breathwork session, it can be like a year of talk therapy or something, you know, like when you can move out of the ego mind. And there's something about this conscious connected breath, the cyclical breathing, that very quickly, within just a few minutes, even though we do an hour or longer session, you're not doing the cyclical breath the whole time, but within 5-10 minutes, you can just sort of go into the state where you're bypassing the thought process and just go into more of a journey, and go drop more into the heart, and connect into sort of your higher self, your higher wisdom, whatever you want to call it, and bring through to release whatever wants to be released, and also just bring through information on all different levels. Yeah.
It basically brings you into the present moment.
Yes, probably. Yeah. It brings you into the present. It brings you into the heart. It connects you, when you're oxygenating, when you're doing that breathwork practice and you're oxygenating yourself, you often get connected into your physical body really quickly. And often people experience either tingling sensations, or they start to tune in to where some pain is held in the body. And that'll be the first piece. And then the next thing is usually tap into the emotional body. Yeah. So if there's anything sort of sitting here that's just underneath the surface that wants to come up, it usually is ready and will come out.
Yeah. I found the and the people that were in the room, it's amazing how it did tap into the emotional stuff that you didn't know was there. And I found it quite interesting that stuff came up quite naturally. You didn't have to focus on an event or a time or place to activate that emotion. It just came up in waves and got released, which I thought was quite awesome.
Yeah, you don't need to know. Sometimes we know the story of what's coming up or what's driving a process, but often you don't. And I describe it as, this breath work is a full body somatic experience. So we're listening to the intuition of the body and of what the body wants to do. And, whether we have, there's all the information about holding onto stored trauma, stored emotions. So it helps tap into that and helps release that too, really quickly, as you're saying.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting sharing it with Hypnosis New Zealand. Like, people will be watching this later. This gets recorded and put on, because it is a modality that really blends in well with what we're doing. Also, I love the ceremony of it. Like you said, I hadn't experienced many things that involved more of the ritual of it, but I found that a way to really get into that space, instead of just going and sitting down and doing something, having, being guided into a space, was really beautiful.
Yeah. And it's nice to do in a group. Normally I would facilitate, just doing a workshop in a group, but you can do one-on-one sessions with people too. But there is an interesting thing that happens when you're working with groups. You probably might know this, right? But like the energy of the group starts coming into play as well. So as one person is releasing it, it's allowing or giving permission for other people somehow to release as well. So it's always a mystery of what comes through for people, and each session is different.
Yeah. And for people that haven't experienced breath work before. Can we do like a little, not so much a little demo, but just kind of what we mean by the conscious connected breath for
Sure.
people that don't know?
Yeah.
So that'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we do it now? Just
Yeah.
sort of explain the circular breath. So all we're doing is just keeping the breath connected with the inhale and the exhale, and not pausing between either side, which is what we would normally do in our everyday life. Like when I'm talking now, I'm not breathing in or breathing out really, but so you get into a rhythm, and in this modality, we do it in through the nose and out through the mouth. Everyone teaches it just a little bit different. Sometimes people just do it through the nose or just through the mouth, but we do it in through the nose and out through the mouth. So the emphasis is on the inhale, and then a relaxation on the exhale. And so we're just going to connect that circularly. And it's like a wave, the inhale, and then the wave crests, and then we release on the exhale. It's effortless on the exhale, and we're putting a little emphasis on the inhale. So we're bringing the air in, coming in, down into the belly, deep diaphragmatic breathing. And then releasing and trying to release the air all the way, getting the air all the way out from the bottom of the belly. So we're getting out that like the staleness of anything that we've been holding on to. So in the breathwork session, when we kick it off, and usually I drum everyone in, we do a little meditation, get everyone relaxed using the medicine drum. We bring everyone in, and I say, begin the breathwork breath, and then breathe until you're surprised. So you'll hold on, you'll do that cyclical breathing. And I usually encourage people to kind of put a little more oomph into it initially to get the chi going, to get the prana going. And then at some point you just find your own rhythm, and you can slow it down, but the key thing is to just keep the breath connected. And you'll do that for a few minutes, and then something starts to happen. And again, usually it's physical. You might feel the tingling sensations, and then moves into emotional, mental, spiritual stuff. Usually happens during a 1 hour session. Normally people will have a breakthrough, like an emotional breakthrough, and then they go off on this journey. And often by the end, when people share, when we do a closing to share what's happened for folks, they're usually focusing on like the positive things that have come out of their journey and what they connected into. And often I never usually hear them talk about like, oh, they had a big emotional release or something came up and they let that go. It's usually that comes through really fast, and then they're connected in, and the other information comes for them. Usually there's inspiration, some guidance for what they need to do with them in their lives, or just with their jobs. And this breathwork practice too, like you can just do that cyclical breathing on your own. You don't need to do it to music. You don't need to have a big experience, and you will still get some of the effects from that. So it's the cyclical breath, and that is what's allowing us to go into the non-ordinary states of consciousness.
Yeah. And it is, for anyone that's experienced, it's a very cool feeling when you go, when you fly, almost that feeling sensation when you get into that space, eh? Cool. So with your journey, you said that that you had worked with lots of different modalities, and then this one came along and allowed you to release. You said it was anger and things going on. So you found that through this breath work, it released all of that stuff.
It released a lot, and then it just brings up to awareness, so that I have awareness of what some of my maybe core issues are that I'm carrying with me in this lifetime. And so it's just giving me a tool so that I can catch myself now when something like that is going to come up. So especially with the anger issues, I would say, I did a lot of breath work, just processing back through my life, all the anger I was carrying towards different people, towards my parents, all that kind of stuff. And being able to recognize and work with that, release some of that, so that now, I still get angry, but I can kind of keep it at more of a steady state, or I have tools to help me process my anger more positively, I guess.
Yeah. And with the the ceremony and the drumming and things like that. Was that part of the training that you did, or is that something you've been doing, the music, for a while?
It's part of the training. So Shamanic Breathwork does incorporate the chakra tune music journey. So we're taught how to create the music sets, or we can purchase music sets that we can take people on an arc through the journey. And then the body work process, there's different points on the body that can help people release. I bring my Reiki through. So, just touching people on the crown or on the third eye, on the heart or on the abdomen, on the back. There's different points, pressure points, meridian points that we learn about. And that often sometimes just putting a hand on someone, watching, observing how someone's breathing and just knowing where to intuitively, sometimes just putting your hand somewhere can also bring them to another level of release. The drumming, well, we're not taught how to drum, but like the drumming is part, the ritual and the ceremony is part of the program. It's a 2-week program. Well, it's a 2-week program, and I hope we get to talk about the SHIP training that's coming up.
Yeah.
But so we go through all of that. But I'm also been very interested in shamanic practices, and so I've also been, for the last 5 years, working with a teacher who's Peruvian and who lives in the States as well, Don Oscar Miro Quesada, and I'm an apprentice in the Pachacuti Mesa tradition of cross-cultural shamanism. So in that tradition, it's just learning different earth honoring practices, working with a mesa, learning about the directions, working with the elements. And for me, that just grounds me. It's it's this knowing and being able to connect to everything around me, to be connected into the earth. And, here I am on a 10-acre property where it requires a lot of our attention. It's a very abundant and alive property with all sorts of different things going on here. And so it's a great practice for me to be able to go outside and honor all the elements that are here, that are cooperating with us to create our retreat center here.
Yeah. And how did you get into that journey with meeting the the Peruvian shaman?
Well, that's a big, long story, but the short of it is that in 2012, my father passed away quite unexpectedly, short diagnosis with a terminal illness, and I was in Florida. I had done a Google search on to help, actually prior to that, to look for some help for my mom, found this shamanic practitioner, met her when I went to Florida, and she and another woman were going to be leading a trip to Peru in 2012 and invited me to go. And I said, well, I can't go because I'm here for my dad, and he's expected to live a few more months. And he actually passed much shorter than that. And so I ended up going on this trip to Peru, got to experience it was sort of like a shamanic pilgrimage through Peru, going to sacred sites. And I really became quite close to this one woman, and her lineage was through Don Oscar Miro Quesada. So I wasn't able to meet him in person, but there are a lot of online courses, and I have subsequently met him now. But So I did a number of years of courses online, and I finally got to meet him a couple of years ago. He lives actually not too far from my mom, which is a blessing. And I hope one day to get him here to New Zealand as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Very cool. Isn't it funny how, so that was 2012, and then your shamanic breathwork stuff is what, 2018?
17, 18, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. I'll just let somebody in. Has anyone got any questions?
Yeah, I just was interested to make a comment. It's like you mentioned the 4 directions in the Hawaiian tradition, and the official view of the Peruvian government is that the people of Peru came from Polynesia. And our 4 sacred directions is upwards, downwards, inwards, and outwards. So it's interesting, the subtle differences between a lot of these different traditions.
Yeah.
I do a lot of the stuff.
7 directions too. Yeah.
Yeah, we work with 7 principles, seven elements. We work mainly with 7 of the major Hawaiian goddesses in this tradition, in the Kahili family tradition. So, but I do a lot of the same stuff you're doing in that hour ritual, but some of it I can do in moments anywhere. I don't need a special place for it.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting what you can do. We have a breath system called Pico Pico, which means center to center, it's different from your circular breath, but it's working with moving attention and therefore creating the energy flow that releases the tension in the body, that allows those ideas and thoughts to come up.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, all of the, older cultures, just had different ways to just connect with their environment, and just have a deeper understanding, right? Being present and have a deeper understanding of how to be connected and have consciousness with like all things that are around you. And so they work with the directions, they work with the elements, all in maybe subtle different ways. They all, there's many different breathwork modalities and breathwork practices and techniques. And I always say you just find something that resonates with you. And, and so even this modality using conscious connected breathwork, there's probably 15 now different modalities out in the world that are using this. They all work, obviously, there's people doing it. And so you just find what resonates. And this really resonates for me.
As a shaman, I find something that resonates with the person I'm working with more than with me. And that's one of the skills of the shaman, is to be able to find out what's going to work for the person.
Yeah.
It's not about proving a healing modality. It's about engendering a healing response for the person.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, we get very flexible, and Kupua is an adventure tradition as well. So we look at illness as a behavior rather than something that's come in that has to be fought. So it's interesting to get the different attitudes and blends. We did a lot of breathing because I'm a master of the Hawaiian temple massage as well, which I learned from Abraham Kauai back in the 80s. And that involves a lot of breath, using the breath to generate waves of energy and different pulses.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with the hypnotherapy. We do use breath to go into a space, but after experiencing your session, Kathy, and all of the things that we experience, how important breath is, and how it works so well with what we're doing. It just brings a different level to it, and it's something that the client themselves are actively a part of. That's what I found really cool. It was something they were actually part of the journey, not there just experiencing what's being done, if that makes sense. That's why I found it so powerful.
Yeah, and like I think, Kahu, what you're saying too is finding like what we say in Shamanic Breathwork too is that like you are your own healer, you are tapped into your own wisdom, and I'm just guiding. I'm just a guide, and I'm just trying to help you and support you in getting present and tuning in so that you can find out what you already know, and what you're capable of knowing, and how you're capable of healing.
Yeah. So you have you were saying you have a friend coming over from the States. I was going to come and do it, but it sits right where my diploma is, which is so annoying.
I know.
But
I wish you could come down.
I know, I'd love to come down. It's the first 5 days. I think the 13th or 17th is my diploma. But talk about that a little bit, because that sounds insanely cool.
So as part of Shamanic Breathwork, part of the courses that they offer, there's two tiers basically, and the first one is called SHIP. It's the Shamanic Healing Initiatory Process. It's a 2-week immersion where we work with the elements, and we go through, and every other day is a full day breathwork practice. So they break it down into groups. We process together. We do breath work. We do the full journey with the art integration piece. So that's happening every other day. And on the 14 days, then we have 5 initiations working with the 5 elements: water, earth, fire, air, and spirit. There's a teaching. So we have a teaching day with a little bit of lecture on that element. and then usually an interactive experiential. So the water element is really about learning about the spiral of transformation, the spiral path, talking about how life is a spiral, and we're going around all the time, hopefully getting wiser and kind of spiraling higher. So we just learn a little bit about what the spiral path is. Earth element is connecting with ancestors, doing family of origin work. Fire is connecting with the shadow and doing inner child work. Then we have spirit is connecting into your higher self, into the beloved, and air is like connecting into your future self. The instructor is my instructor from Bali. He is an American. He's been in Bali teaching at the Yoga Barn for the last 8 years and is currently traveling around the world, doing different festivals and teaching ship at other locations. He's here in New Zealand for a couple of months. He's besides being a shamanic breathworker, master teacher, he's one of the top 5 teachers right now that are offering this program around the world. They usually only do it in Bali or North Carolina, which is where Starwolf is. And because he was coming here, I invited him to come to Birdsong since we have a location, and he's agreed to run the program here. So we're really excited to have a 2-week program here in New Zealand, which I think is fairly unique. I don't know. I don't see that many long immersions.
14 days is pretty cool, especially on your property. It's totally like stepping into a new reality that's very much outside of the world.
Yeah. We'll be held in a big container here. Within our healing space is a geodesic dome, so it's a very much womb-like, and then the bubble that's around Birdsong, we're up on the top of a hill at the end of a dirt road, so with the beach just down
very
2
cool.
kilometers. So so this ship training, it's not about whether if you're interested in becoming a shamanic breathwork facilitator, you have to do this, but it's really just a transformational, deep, immersive event for anyone that wants to do a deep dive into their own work. And we're going deeper and deeper with the shamanic breathwork practice as the way to tap in and learn and work through all these things. So as we go along over the 2 weeks, and we're processing and journaling and doing group sharing and all these different activities, it's amazing what starts to come through the breath work, because then we always say breathe until you're surprised. So sometimes you can take an issue into your breathwork practice, but it doesn't always, you might not resolve that thing because something else may want to be there for you. But when we do ship, because we're in such a concentrated container and we're working with family of origin stuff, we're looking at shadow work and stuff, it all starts to build on each other, and it kind of comes to a big crescendo at the end. So I've done ship twice now, and I will be a participant in this one coming up with Levi. I'm working towards my master apprentice. So it's Levi Banner is the person who's here in New Zealand, and he will be the facilitator, and I will be here. And we have another person, another shamanic breathwork facilitator named Jane Anthony, who's over from Bali as well right now, and she'll be here as well.
Yeah. So they were at one of the festivals recently.
They were just at Resolution Festival up on the North Island.
Oh, so that was in the North Island.
Yeah, it was outside of Auckland.
I didn't go because I thought it was down south. I should have gone to that. That would have been very cool.
They both offered breathwork there. I've heard some good things, reports back that the festival was awesome. They're now gonna, then there's a new festival coming down to the South Island, just here in outside of Christchurch, called New Zealand Spirit Fest. So they'll be down for that, and I'll be there with them, and we'll be offering breathwork there.
Yeah. Do you know when that one is?
That is Spirit Fest is January 18th through the 22nd, or 19th through the 22nd, coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, very cool. Sweet. So if people want to get on your mailing list or contact you, how do they do that? I will add your website to the link.
Cool. You can look at Kathy Guidi, so just my name all together, kathyguidi.com. So there's information on my breathwork and other things that I offer, and there'll be a link to the SHIP program, or you can just go to birdsongretreat.nz and just kind of find out more about what we're doing here and what's on offer.
Yeah, because we need to have to know what's going on, like you said, at the retreat during the year for people that want things to do or want to get away from reality for a little bit.
Yeah, we have different things. Sometimes, you know, we kind of always finding our balance, because we're not like a big retreat center. This is our home, and we open up our home space, and we like to do events that resonate with us. So we do end up doing lots of stuff related into shamanic practices and shamanism. I run women's retreats sometimes, and I work with a woman on the North Island who comes down. We do medicine drum, making your own medicine drum. She teaches how to make your own medicine drum, and we do medicine wheel retreats. Yeah, just different facilitators come.
Very awesome. Cool. So does anyone have any questions about the breath work? Or so if people wanted to practice a little bit, Kathy, themselves, just with the circular breath, how would they do that? If they wanted to have a little practice after listening to this.
Yeah, well, I would just say, you know, I find doing it in the morning is really nice, or, you know, anytime that you're ready to rest and just lie down. We normally do it lying down with you know, something covering the eyes so that you can really go inwards. You can put on some gentle music. It'll be a little bit different because it's not, unless you can find some kind of chakra tune music to take you on that would also help you take on the journey, because we're using sound too as a conduit to go into these spaces. So it's the breath, and then sound, and then touch, and then we do the art piece at the end. So, but you could just lie down, find some soothing music, and just start with the circular breath. You can light a candle, set an intention if you want to create a ritual space around it. Whatever works for you, really. It's harder to do on your own, but it can be done. You can breathe, and you can tap in and find something for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Nikki.
Hi, Justine. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hi, Kathy. I was just going to ask, because I've done some shamanic work with practitioners before, and I'm really interested in your retreat. And that, do you kind of keep a group going afterwards? Because the teacher I did it with for a while here in Wellington, I wanted to do something more intensive. So this looks great, but she said she wouldn't work with me if I worked with another practitioner. Is that the kind of thing that happens, you know, with these things? I'm not interested in that kind of stuff, but you know, no,
that sounds terrible. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I would never. Gosh.
No, it's strange. I thought, whoa, that's really weird. I didn't know what that was about, because I've done a lot of training with her, you know, for quite a few years. So
yeah.
No,
well, the ship process, I mean, we'll have a private Facebook group for all of us that are here, so we can all stay connected and stay connected to Levi. But you know, this is an immersion to help you go into your own journey, you know, and to bring these tools. What you also get, they offer in the States, because it's Venus Rising Association for Transformation is the name of the organization. You can find it shamanicbreathwork.org, though, if you want to look at Linda Starwolf and the programs and the packages that they offer there. They're also able to confer ordained ministry to you. So if you do the SHIP program, you have the option of becoming an ordained minister, which, you know, you can make what you will, but it just, you're just coming away with a basket of tools, so that you, with an understanding of how to approach things more like shamanically or spiritually, or to bring those elements through in whatever else you're offering, basically.
Cool. And you can stay on site during the retreat?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a on-site immersion retreat here. It's February 11th through the 24th. We have some rooms, but also most people that come here, they camp on the land, or they, you know, bring a vehicle you can sleep in, or a small camper van. Yeah.
I slept in my truck when I was there a month ago. It was so cool. I just had this mattress in the back, but yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, and we have a lot of different, we have a lot of, like, we call them elemental spaces here. So we have a grandmother tree that you can sit in. We have a grandfather tree that you could go meditate by. We have some outdoor baths, just cool little nooks and crannies to sit. Like, we're mostly bush. I always say I live in the bush with a house sitting in the middle of it.
Yeah. And a very beautiful star. What's it called? A star. I sat on it. The
Merkaba. The Merkaba.
Yeah, this beautiful big
a
thing.
life-size Merkaba that you can sit inside and meditate and see what kind of energy, how the energy moves through there.
Yeah, that was really cool. I came home thinking I want to make one of those, but then I looked at how to do it and I couldn't find anything because I'm on quite a big property as well. I was like, I love that. Yeah,
you can talk to Bruce. My husband Bruce is into sacred geometry, and so we have a lot of just unique things floating around here.
Yeah, I totally want to make one of those. I was thinking I'd make it, then I'd sit on it and it'll go crash.
It'll be like a spaceship and you'll take off.
Yeah, but it was awesome. Well, thank you, Kathy, for joining us. And what I'll do is once I post this onto HNZ and YouTube, I'll put all the details up, how to contact you and the ship.
Thank you.
Training and even birdsong. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, the course is coming up soon. It's only like 5 weeks away. So
very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Kathy, and have an awesome day.
Thank you.
And everybody else. And nice meeting
everyone.
You. Is it Kahu? Yeah. Awesome. Cool. All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.